Hello and welcome to the Huddle. I'm your host, JT Thomas, broadcasting live from the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about the Mountaineers versus the OSU. Willie, it was a big-time game played here in Morgantown, Gary, and the Mountaineers fell to the Cowboys this weekend. We're going to talk about it, but before that, Will, we got to do it to you. We want to talk about Morgantown High and University High and the Mohawk Bowl. Last week, we had two young people here, and they were nice and friendly. They were nice and friendly, and they talked about the game. And, you know, it was, Will, as you know, the former MHS coach, it was a tough hill for Morgantown High to climb up, with University High being a 9-0, ranked 2 in the state. Very tough game. Morgantown High went out and gave it all. Will, I got to ask you what you thought of the game.
University High is a good team this year. They have some good players. They have some good skilled guys. Unfortunately, Morgantown had a tough schedule this year. You know, you start out playing teams like North Allegheny from Pittsburgh, who, you know, you look at their schedule, at their roster. Joey Porter's son is on their team. There's a coach, the head coach of the Steelers. His son's on their team. There was about 6 Steelers kids playing on that team, and it looked like a college team coming out at halftime. Then they played Steubenville, and then they played Martinsburg. So, you know, it was a tough schedule, taking nothing away from University High, but, you know, it was, you know, a tough year for Morgantown. You know, a losing season, which is not, you know, not typical for Morgantown High, but, you know, those things happen, had some injuries, and, you know, all it takes is a couple of injuries to the right players, and then, you know, it'll affect your season, not like it will in college. You know, it's next man up in college and high school. You know, you get what you get, and that's what you put on the field. In college, you can go out and recruit kids. High school, you can't do that. So, you know, when injuries happen, those things happen. So, you know, I think Morgantown's going to make the playoffs at 16 seeds. So they're going to end up playing either Martinsburg again and maybe Huntington. But the thing about it, JT, everybody's playing for second place because Martinsburg is going to win it again.
Right?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, JT, you look at it.
I hear you. Now, Gary, didn't I see you at the game? I did. The game kind of stood up to its height. The whole city was out. I was able to see people, you know, all throughout the night. Gary, what did you think of the game?
I'm always happy to go out to that game. I made it a point to go the last 3 or 4 years. I'm usually have to make sure that I take some type of raincoat or something to cover my head. It's usually cold out, but it's a very enjoyable game. Good atmosphere, as you talked about. Unfortunately, it was really one-sided this year. I think the game that I watched last year was a little bit more exciting, getting to see the ebb and flow of both teams trying really hard. This year, it just seemed that University was a little bit better this year. I give Morgantown the credit for going out there and playing the teams that Willie just mentioned, because that to me is the crust of football. I don't care who you put on the field or who you say we need to play, I'll play them. I'll be the bigger team, I'll fight anybody. It's just like a championship fight. This year, Morgantown just didn't have it. I think they missed a couple of their old running backs, and, you know, just the team that they had in general. But you know, that's why we play it every year. That's why it's the Mohawk Bowl, and I'm just looking forward to the next one.
Actually, I think that this conversation will move right on over to the Mountaineers, because what I'll talk about and what we talked about last week with the young guys here, they talked about University High having more depth in terms of they had guys who can go one way versus Morgantown High, who had kids that had to go both ways.
Yep.
Now, at one point in the game, and I believe it was right after kickoff, like last year, Will, there was a nice kickoff. The young guy, he ran it halfway down the field, almost scored. And I thought, was this going to be a repeat of last year? And it just didn't happen. And I think that was the break. That's when I realized, it's going to be all bad, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, everybody played their hearts out. Those guys played year-round. They're great friends. The 2 gentlemen we had on last week, they hugged it up after the game, and all was well. All went well. And we always encourage the young guys to keep after it and get ready for the playoffs. And as Willie said, everybody be playing to try to win. As Willie said, second place, but we'll see. You got to play the game.
But another thing, JT, you love it that your community has good football.
Yes.
You know, whether it's Morgantown or University. You know, there were years when, you know, Morgantown was 1 and University was number 2. So that says a lot about this area and how we care about football, how these kids, you know, they play the game. So it's not just a Morgantown or University thing. It's a, you know, an area thing.
Yeah,
so,
North Central West Virginia.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yes,
Again, these guys play with a whole lot of pride. Now, guys, we're going to roll back over into the Mountaineers. We split the show up, guys, because we had high schoolers on last week. But the Mountaineers played OSU last week and the Cowboys, and it was just a rough outing. It started off not well. We didn't get our typically up and down the field. I think our first score was a field goal by a kicker. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
That's not typical how the Mountaineers do business here in Morgantown. What do you think about that, Will?
Not lately. We're used to our offense going up and down the field and putting points on the board, rather quickly. And I didn't know a whole lot about OSU, but their defense showed me a lot on Saturday. I didn't know they were that good, especially on the back end. I mean, up front they were stout, and any team we play in the Big 12, their offensive and defensive line always, I wouldn't say head and shoulders, but as far as height and weight, they have us by, the numbers that they have us beat there, and it shows up later in the game. After they keep pounding on you and pounding on you, something's got to give eventually, and they'll, send 4 guys in, take them out, send 4 more guys in. This looks just like the 4 that came out, right. And our guys, getting rolled, and it's tough after a while getting, beat up. And we played a lot of snaps.
Yeah.
We played almost over 50 snaps on defense in the first half. Right. Almost 60. So that's almost a game most times for any defense. So that was a lot of snaps for our defense to play, and that goes back to that our offense wasn't staying on the field long enough to give our guys on defense a break.
We talked about Gary in the opening of the game, right? They came down off a kick and got great field position, really put the Mountaineers with their back up against the goal line. And it just seemed off the top, it's like we wasn't ready. For some reason, I felt like we wasn't ready for that kick.
Well, I always tell people, and I said this to you in the past, whenever you start a football game, whether you win the toss or you lose it, put your hitters on the field first. That's going to wake the crowd up. Those boys out there ready to do something to somebody when they run out on the field. Sometimes your offense, because it's so technical, or because they have to do a lot of thinking about who to block, and they have to have great positioning, even especially on the offensive line, they may not be in the mode to be physical just yet. But I thought actually that the game started off very well for us from a defensive standpoint because we created 2 early turnovers, something that I hadn't really seen from our team. And maybe that was partly, OSU not handling the ball well, but I took that credit toward our defense. We had guys out there hitting, we had a lot of gang tackling, and not only did we cause the fumbles, but we recovered the fumbles. And so I think that we were doing well at first to start out on defense, and I had hope that would give the offense a spark and give them opportunities to, hey, we're getting the ball back, let's go and do something with it. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
Well, Will, I said this on the show last time, at the beginning of the season, I talked about our inability to run the ball. And that showed up this week. I mean, that was the toughest thing. That was one thing that I worried about. We almost have running backs by committee. We have 3 running backs that are all capable backs. Yes. But I think, boy, you have to be very consistent when you're playing a team just as talented as the Cowboys. I mean, it was we just could not penetrate or get vertical up and down. I mean, this is the first time where we have not one running back with 100 yards.
Well, they made us one-dimensional. We couldn't run the ball, so then they said, you know what? And they got to us with 3 guys. They would rush 3 and still get pressure on the quarterback. So now you're putting 8 on the back end to cover you and pass. So you can play zone, you can play man, you can do whatever you want to do, because if you can get 3 with pressure, I mean, that opens up your defense so much. So our inability to run the football kind of made us one-dimensional, and it let OSU just, do what they want to do on defense.
Gary, let me ask you this. Am I just being really too critical in terms of our ineffectiveness from the run standpoint? I mean, I feel like we've matched up with teams similar to OSU, right? I feel like we, the Baylor, they were a rebuilding team. I thought Baylor gave us a good go at, and we did pretty well. And then, and both of the TCU game we lost, I thought we matched up pretty well, but it seems like these guys just really manhandled us up front, Gary.
I really don't think OSU is that much better than us, and I mean, I give them credit for what they're doing this year. And I don't think it's ever a point coming from former player, and especially on a panel with 3 former players, that you could be too critical. You want your team to do well. You root for your alma mater. You go out there, and sometimes I'm telling you, your heart is beating just as fast because you want to see something get done. You want to see it happen. And I'm sure I speak for all 3 of us on that. Now, as far as the offense goes and the inability to run the football, I'm with you. We got 3 very capable running backs. I don't care what year they are. They all have proven that they can run the ball. You put the ball in their stomachs, they're going to do something with it. So I hate to put any blame anywhere. It seems like the offensive line just isn't getting a push, because when you're playing 5-on-3, you should win just in sheer numbers. And as Willie said earlier, that they were able to get pressure with just 3 down linemen. They were able to manhandle us and be more physical than us with lower numbers. So I don't know, again, if we were awake, if we were ready, at least on the offensive side of things, and I don't know if we were really able to compete with the athleticism that they had in the defensive backfield.
Now, you know what was kind of almost foreign to me, to see our touchdown automatic jam, right? Our touchdown automatic guy, David Seals, just really couldn't get in this game. I mean, he got shut down early on, and I didn't see a whole lot going on. Did you see something that I didn't see that put David Seals in check?
I don't think it was anything in the inefficiency of the offense. It was just that, again, when you can get 3 in the face of the quarterback, you can double that kid. You can put 1 in front of him. He doesn't get a free release, or you can put a guy on the back end. Again, I watched it. I'm a former defensive back, so I watch the back end. That's what I watch. And, I'll sit there in the game, and I'll rewind it, and I'll say, all right, let me watch and see what the front did this time. And I did, and I kept saying, man, they're getting to him with 3. So, when you, again, that plays right into their hands. Now I can just, I can double a guy if I need to, or I can sit back and play zone and, put 3 behind you and put 4 under or something like that. They're not going to get to him.
We'll just explain to the audience, when we say he's rushing with 3 guys, that means at least 8 people.
And
and typically, when you get 3, you got 1 that's spine, watching somebody run out, but you can drop 7. I mean, and it just makes
Actually, that's 8.
it locks it down. That's what y'all call lockdown.
That's right.
You got a lockdown D when you can do that. When you can say, hey, we got him. We'll keep him in the pocket. You got to just lock it down on the backside.
Yep. And they did that.
Yeah, and I tell you, it is hard. If you don't make them run the ball, right? If I'm going to drop 7 or drop 8, I got to run what Coach Dillon used to love to run.
What was it, 4-back?
Yeah, 58, 59.
Draw.
That's draw play. Yeah.
58, 59.
Right?
Right.
If you're going to drop 7 or 8 on me and I can't run the ball.
Well, if you notice that, Jay, they tried to run a delayed draw.
Right.
And it almost got hit before he got the ball.
The timing wasn't right on it.
Right.
I mean, it just
right on that.
I mean, that was, he almost took the handoff.
Right.
So, and again, that was with 3 guys.
Right.
So, I mean, it's tough. It's
Well,
tough
and
sledding.
guys, I guarantee you, people who are listening now and people who will watch this online, you'll probably hear the frustration kind of eking out of my voice because there's a high expectation in terms of how I feel our team should perform.
I want to offer something on our offense, and more so our receiving core. And again, not to be too critical, because I think we have the athletes. I think we have some names and some players that have the ability to make plays for us. You asked earlier what happened to Seals. I don't think anything really happened to him, except what happened to him is that his other offensive compadres did not step up. So when you go in the game and you have like St. Louis did back in the day, and they had 3 and 4 receivers, it's really hard to hold one person. Because, hey, I'm happy to play with a receiving core of 3 or 4 excellent receivers. One of us is going to get the ball. One of us is going to get open, and I'm going to get my fair share of touches, because once he starts getting open, you're going to start throwing to me. And if you cover me, then the next guy is going to get open. And I think what we have gotten used to in the last couple of weeks is watching David Seals play football by himself. We have Sims, who's an excellent speedster, but he hasn't quite gotten, he hasn't quite done what he's needed to do for us. And same thing with Jennings. He hasn't quite turned it over. So I think that the challenge is now to the receiving core to step up their game, because the athleticism, I believe, nullified the other receivers, which in turn gave them opportunities to play underneath and over top of David Seals and make it look as though he was not a factor.
And to what you're saying, we had some drop balls in that game on Saturday, which I was kind of shocked. You saw some guys, Sims. Everybody's talking about the speedster, but he had some balls. Not in just this game. In previous games, he's had a few drops that were crucial.
On special teams as well.
And Jennings, he had a couple drop balls, which if what you do is catch the ball, and those guys get on the jug machines, you catch. It's like a basketball player. They said the other day, they said Kobe Bryant shot 10,000 shots a day. 10,000. So if you're on that jug machine, that should be
automatic.
Yeah, that should be in your sleep. So, I was just a little disappointed. like you said, being former players, you set the bar high because that's your alma mater. And I get so frustrated sometimes when I'm at home. If I see things going the wrong way, I'll walk out of the room. I'll change the channel. I'll do something because I don't want to see us fail.
Right.
And that's how hard it hits. So when that stuff starts happening, it's kind of hard to watch it. And you're sitting there, come on, guys, you're better than that because you've seen them do it. Once you prove to me that you can do something, I expect you to do it. So
I'm with you on that. And I'm going to expect for our fans here to have paid attention and be prepared to win this prize. And I'm going to give the subscription away this time because I haven't given it away in the past. Again, guys, to win, you have to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And if you don't catch us here, make sure you go out and check us out at thedominionpost.com. So again, all you had to do, this is the true or false. This is the easy one. All you have to do is tell me this. David Seals scored the first touchdown of the game. True or false? Raise your hand and we'll get you the mic. David Seals, he's our star wide receiver. Did he score the first touchdown of the game? True or false? All you have to do is raise your hand.
False.
False. That is absolutely right. Evan Stanley, the kicker, scored the first score.
Yep.
Yes. Good job. Again, guys, to win, you got to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to dominionpost.com and check us out there. All right, guys, let's keep after, right back after. Guys, okay, so let's take this. We go into the locker room. They're up by at least 2 touchdowns. Halftime. What do you say to the team at a halftime? You're playing a home game, and this is a game that seems to be losing, coming out of control.
You remind them of the Texas Tech game.
Yep.
Because, in that game, we were behind, and we came out, and you saw what happened in the second half. Hey, guys, we can do this. We've done it before. We can do it again. Let's go out, get our minds right. That half is over. We can't go back and get it. It's always the next play. So let's go out the second half, and let's do what, we know how to do. And in the beginning, it was a little rough, but, when they started making a run, the block punt, the pick six, I started thinking about Texas Tech. I'm like, all right, here we go. We got a chance now.
Right, and I agree with that, Gary. I felt like I saw an improvement after the halftime. But what happened where we didn't hold them? That's what happened. I shouldn't say that because we had some interception. There were 9 turnovers in the game. 9 between the two teams. That's a lot of turnovers, Gary.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bad football, to be honest with you. But what happened is we talk about going into halftime, I think you just have to challenge your players. And I think Willie's right. I think you're right. What you do is you remind them of the success that they've had in the past when down in a situation like this. So you give them some encouragement that, hey, we've done this before, we can do it again. And the best thing about it is that it happened on our field, on our turf. And I give the Mountaineer faithful some credit because I feel like they willed us through the Texas Tech game. And I felt like that was starting to happen with the OSU game. And we just didn't have it happen. But I think you get in there and you have to start making challenges. You have to start saying that I have an expectation, a very strong and high expectation of you, whether you're the quarterback, receiver, lineman, whatever position you play. And then you start making those challenges on special team. And you let the players who play big, you start to count on them and expect them to play big.
Well, one thing I said to Coach Dunlap last week, the thing that I worried about the most for us, back to defense. And it wasn't any particular play, but our depth on defense in terms of defensive alignment. We had a kid go down. Once we have a kid go down, we didn't have a kid to step back up in there and fill that void. I was concerned about, in a long game like it was, more than 50 snaps you said on defense.
And that was in the first half.
Depth on that front line, I thought played a role in the way that game turned out well.
It did, and it was not just injuries or depth on the front line. You look at our corner situation.
Yes.
Every time, every series, you have a different corner in the game.
Right.
So you don't get a guy to get in the flow of the game and he's starting to see what's happening. You can pick up on what the offense is doing. You switching your corners in and out because you got injuries, guys not getting the job done, and you have young guys in it. So with an experienced team like OSU and that quarterback, hats off to him. That kid can throw the ball. Yeah. So it was the defensive line. And a lot of people complain about the 3-3-5.
Right.
And we've been running it for a long time, and it's been successful. Again, that nose tackle has to be a 2-gapper. He's got to command 2 blocks because if a single guy, that center can block him, now your guards are on your linebackers, and
So
it's off to the races. And I think a little bit of that happened,
Right.
and because they were gashing us.
Right.
Even on the first play of the game, when that kid ran the ball and he got hit, he had like an 8-yard gain. And our linebackers, they ripped him, but it was an 8-yard gain. And the freshman came behind him. I think the freshman for OSU had 130-something yards, maybe 120-something. So it wasn't the next man up. So when it happens like that, it's usually your offensive line. When you can take a guy out, put another guy in, then it's your offensive line. And I think from what they were saying on television, they had some injuries, and finally they got guys back. They were playing out of position. The center was playing guard because the guy got hurt. Well, the guy came back, they moved the guard back to center, and so now you got your offensive line you had from the beginning of the year, and so that showed up on
Virginia front door.
Yes, it did. and
Garrett,
they were knocking.
Let's talk about the free safety. Askew, Drayvon Askew, Henry. He played free safety, then they moved into strong safety, then to the sport bandit. Now I know you played strong safety, right?
Strong safety, free safety.
What's the difference between
corner.
the two? What could make it difficult for him to make that adjustment on the fly?
It depends on what type of football IQ he has. I mean, if he has a high football IQ, I think he'll be able to make the change without, sort of like Cornell Lake. When there were times that the Steelers needed him and they would put him out on the corner. It wasn't really his position, but he was smart enough to understand this is where my help comes from. This is the position that if I'm playing inside man, then I don't let him beat me on the slant. And so you have to be a smart football player. If you're the safety, at least when I play, if you're the safety in that defense, a lot of times you are the captain of the secondary, and your coach looks to you to line up the secondary to make sure that all the coverages are played correctly. And even during the week on Fridays, we would get tests, and I know you remember, we get tests. Where is in the cover 2 or cover 3, where does everyone line up at? You had to prove not just did you know your position, but you understood where everybody fit in the defense. And God bless the dead, but I remember even Van Washington could feel out where everyone on the defense was supposed to be, not just his position on the secondary. He could tell you where everyone was supposed to play. And so if Askew's a smart player, he's got a high football IQ, then that changes nothing. That changes nothing to him. He'll be able to go out there, and we won't be hurt from that.
Right. Well, my only issue with that is if you got a guy who's playing free safety, you're used to being the top guy. You're in so everything is played in front of you. So you're used to coming downhill as run support. So now I take you and I put you at a strong safety, or you take that strong safety and you put him at a free. He's used to coming downhill now. So you guys used to being close to the line of scrimmage. And one of the things that happened in our '88 season in last game against Syracuse, Darryl Whitmore broke his fibula. So they put Bo Orlando at free safety. He played strong safety all year. And so now we're playing Notre Dame in the national championship game. Bo's a free safety. All year, he had his nose up and everything. So there was a couple times he came downhill before he should have because there was a natural instinct from him. So back to what Gary was saying, you got to have a high IQ and realize, all right, I'm the spur, I'm the bandit now, so I'm run support, and I got an assignment here, or I'm back at the free safety. So now I got to realize where I'm at on the field, and I got to play that position. So hats off to anybody who can do that.
I agree. That transition is much easier for the free safety to play the strong safety than for the free safety to play the corner. I've seen corners try to play free safety and look completely lost. I've seen them try to do the strong safety. It is easier for the free safety because of his vision on the field and his place on the field. I think, Askew has done a good job for us. You know what I mean? And I think he has made some plays for us. And I think that he should be able to make that transition given where he's played.
Now, I'm going to throw this at you because I'm going to mess it all up right now. Because I keep talking about the special teams, right? Now, listen, I'm telling you, we want to find some way to be productive in special teams. Yes. We saw a lot of missed kicks from both sides of the field. I mean, not just in this game, but missed kicks, punts. They punted better. We didn't get returns on kickoffs. I mean, we got to be more productive in the kicking game, guys. I mean, we just got to. I mean, we're gonna lose games because we're not good on on punt return. it's like we don't set up for a punt return.
I'm going to say this, and this might be sound a little bit controversial. Okay, every team has their identity, and primarily every coach gives their team an identity. I just wonder if this is the identity of a Coach Hogan coach team, because that's what has always been the conversation since he's been here with us. We've had good teams, great offenses, and we've even had years with great defense. We can't really say we've had great special teams at any point since he's been here. And I'm not knocking it. This is not to say anything negative about him. I'm just wondering if that's just part of the identity of his teams, that there's maybe a little bit more focus on offense, a little bit more focus on defense, and we'll let these things take care of themselves, and wherever you line the ball up, I'm going to drive the field.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And that's the mentality, though.
You talked about it last week when you talked about the kicker. The first kicker we had, we don't got that no more.
Right.
No, and we had a guy that, I forget the kid's name, Josh Lambert.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, he won a few games for us. He kicked a 50-yard field goal against Maryland, won a game. Won another game, I'm not sure which one, but, anywhere inside the 50 and in, they were comfortable putting that kid on the field. They don't have that comfortability this year. They don't have that.
No.
And so, that puts your offense in a predicament. But back to what he was saying, the mentality is with this offense, we can score from anywhere on the field. If you give it to us on the 10-yard line, we'll drive down the field and score.
Right.
So it's like, all right, so what? We don't field a kick. We don't worry about that.
So I get it. So, again, I'm going to point it out because, like I said, Coach Nealon always said special teams are for special guys, right? So I'm going to harp on that. But I get the concept. The concept, okay, as soon as we set the ball down, we got more touches, right? We can control the ball wherever it is, and we can have the ball, and we can possess it more than the other team. I get it. But, man, I just feel like, man, if we could set up a wall.
And you know what it does, too? To be honest with you, it takes points off the boards, and it calls you to gamble times that you shouldn't. And so when you get into that 40 to 40-yard line, then you take more gambles than you should, because either you don't trust the punting game or you don't feel like you can make that 50-yard field goal. So you take more chances on 3rd and 4th down. You give up more plays, which inevitably will lead to more turnovers. And so that's the downfall of that, because you take more gambles than you need to.
I agree. Will, you talk about it all the time. You use the terminology, flipping the field.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If that happens too often, they plan on the shorter field. In fact, we did.
We did.
Right? We played on the shorter field.
Yep. Right. I mean, we had the ball inside of our 10 to 5-yard line several times in the first half. Right. And with the way their defense was playing and the way our offense was playing, that wasn't a good, setup for us, because, we punt the ball, they get the ball anywhere between their 50 coming in. Right. So, for that offense, that's 3 plays and they're in the end zone.
Right.
With the receiver they had, the Washington kid, and then, the offensive line and the running back and then the quarterback. So, you don't want to give the ball to a team like that on the 50 going in to your end zone. That's, like I say all the time, JT, as a defensive player, you come off the field, you sit down, and, 2 minutes later, they're calling you back up, and you look out on the field, and you look behind you, and the goal line is, right behind you. You're like, man, here we go again. Right. As opposed to the ball being on their 20, and you look behind you and see nothing but green. You're like, all right, that's a good feeling.
Right. Guys, I'm going to try to give somebody a good feeling right now. I'm going to have a trivia question for you right now, and all you had to do is listen to what I said. To win, just raise your hand. We'll get the mic over to you. But to win, you have to be here in the building at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to DominionPost.com, and you can always find us there. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, could you tell me, and I'll give you multiple choice, how many turnovers were in this game? Were there 8 turnovers? Were there 7 turnovers? Were there 9 turnovers? Or were there 10 turnovers in the game between the two teams? I said, raise your hand. You got 4 shots, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Raise your hand, and we'll get you the mic over. Get the mic over to you. How many turnovers between the two teams? A total of turnovers. We talked about it. We said, Gary said, that's a lot of turnover, or a lot of bad, which is a lot of bad
football. Got another one here again. He's cleaning it up tonight.
I go for 10.
Nope. Oh, not 10. 7, 8, or 9.
We have someone over here.
Right here.
I would say 9.
9. You got it. Bam. We said 9 turnovers between the two teams. Thank you. Guys, to win, you got to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Guys, for the most part, we don't went on all 3 sides of the ball. We talked about a little bit of offense. We talked about a little defense. Now we got to talk about those Cyclones getting ready to come down here to Morgantown, West Virginia. Guys, it is said, Gary, right now that's one of the hottest teams in America right now. 6-1.
Absolutely.
The Iowa State Cyclones
Absolutely.
coming to Morgantown after wins over TCU, after wins over who else? Oklahoma. After wins over Texas Tech. Right? The Cyclones are just running through.
They're tied for first place in the Big 12.
Yes. A team that comes out of nowhere virtually, right?
That's right.
Let's talk about the Cyclones. Will, what do you think about a team like that coming to Morgantown right now?
First, they're hot, they're on a roll, and they're confident. I watched them play against, they played this past week at TCU. They scare me a little bit because they're consistent on all sides of the ball. Going into that TCU game, they said they didn't have any turnovers all year, which is kind of scary. They take care of it. They value the ball. They take care of it. They're big, they're physical, and they're well coached. I mean, I watched them play, and I was kind of find, okay, all right, there's a weakness somewhere. They got big physical receivers. They're not the fastest, but they're big and physical. Again, our corners. We haven't caught up with the Big 12 trend that's having bigger corners. Hopefully we'll get there. Big physical receivers, they'll, as a mix, as a matchup nightmare for our corners. And then, again, they're big and physical. And up front, wow, they get after it. Yeah. So, like I said, they got confidence coming in this game, and we're going to have to play our best game.
We do. Garrett, there's a redshirt freshman they got down there running the ball. I mean, they just got kids all over the place, young kids that's hungry to play football, and they're bowl eligible right now. What do you think about those Cyclones twisting into Morgantown?
This is what recruiting does for you, because you can get players that like you or that believe in what you're doing, and they may not be a 5 or a 4, but you might get a 3 guy that plays up to that 4 level consistently for you because he believes in you, he likes you, he believes in you as a coach, you believe in him, he trusts you, and you can get a little bit more out of him. It seems like they have a team right now that believes in what the system is doing, believe in what they are doing on offense, believes in what they're doing on special teams, and definitely believe in what they're doing on defense because they're creating a lot of turnovers. They're making plays. And somewhere I just recognize, or I envision, someone's constantly patting them on the back. Someone's always telling them, you're good at this or you're good at that. Well, I want you to make this play for me. And I just envision a practice full of encouragement that allows them to go out there and just play how they want to play. Coming into Morgantown, I'll be honest with you, and I hope this is the right thing to say, but I really believe that they are a souped-up BYU team we played a year or two ago. Okay. Because they had big receivers also. Right. They had a well-coached team. They played pretty well. Now, they're playing at a little higher level with a couple more wins at this point in time in the season, but still very beatable. I still think we are able to beat them. My concern for our team this year is that our skill positions, players, both on offense and defense, aren't matching the level of the opponents that we're facing. And so I'm glad it's here in Morgantown because with that hometown feeling, with that Mountaineer crowd, and our kind of weather that's got a little bit more brisk in the last couple of weeks, I think we have the opportunity to pull that out.
Right. And I'll tell you what, it gets cold up there too, because I watched the game on Saturday, and they had on parkas and big Scully hats on and gloves and everything. So I don't think cold weather's gonna bother them one bit.
I saw that. They said in fact it was supposed to snow that weekend.
Oh yeah, they were ready for it.
Now the factor to me is this: the Mountaineer faithful. They're very agitated in terms of they want to see us play consistent football. Again, right. I've always been of the mindset the Mountaineers we want to see a good fight, right? We don't want to see 50 points scored. I'm just telling you how.
No, we don't.
Listen,
that ain't never.
As an old Mountaineer, I'm just saying we don't, and the fans don't like that. So the Mountaineers fans gonna come in a little agitated. They're going to be rocking this house. They're going to make it really loud and difficult for the Iowa Cyclones to come in here and take home a win without getting scuffed up a little bit. What do you think?
The thing I want to see, and this has nothing to do with what's going on the field. I would like to see our fan base hang around. I mean, I saw it at the Texas Tech game. We got behind. Halftime, you look up in the stands, the whole student section was gone, and you saw some fans from other sections were gone, but notably the student section. And as a football player, when you're on the field and things aren't going well, and you're looking for your that 12th man to give it that little, all right, you guys, let's go, you can do this, and you look up and you see empty seats everywhere. That's tough.
Yeah.
So I would encourage our fan base and mostly, like I said, our students to hang around, stay till all the zeros on the clock.
Yeah.
Don't leave those guys hanging on the field. So, like I said, it had nothing to do with football. Now, get back to football, the physicality of Iowa State is what worries me. And I agree with Gary, but everything starts up front.
It does.
It starts on the offensive and defensive line. And again, Iowa State is physical. Trust me. And I watched them, and they punched TCU in the mouth, and I was kind of shocked because I hadn't seen Iowa State play all year, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I looked at the schedule, I was like, oh my gosh, we got them next. Right. And so, but we just have to match it.
Right.
We just have to match it, and playing at home, like Gary says, that should be, an added plus for us because, our guys are here, they got the fans. So I think coming into this game, we got to forget what happened. All right, hey, we got short memory, let's go. We got Iowa State the next game. So I think what has to happen, we can have 4 turnovers. That can't happen. You said 3 turnovers, and that, yeah, 3+, but we went over that 4 mark. So I just hope our kids come out and be physical and match the physicalness of Iowa State. And if we do that, I think we can put ourselves in the position, to win this game. And I'm like Gary. I mean, our skill guys have to make some plays, especially on offense. Right. You can't say, all right, David Seals, you're leading in the country in touchdowns. You got to carry us. No. We got 3 other guys that should be doing that also. And I think a lot of times, I'm hoping our quarterback is not leaning on Seals all the time. Because you got 3 other receivers out there that are capable.
Keep in mind, he did catch an extra point this last game. Just wanted to point that out. All right.
Okay.
But listen, I want to say this at the same time. Now, Will, what I think about when we played Baylor, and we talked about this a couple years ago, when we went cover 0.
Yes.
Remember, I felt like Gibby just said, look, we're going to lock them up, and we're going to come after them. Now, if we take that mentality, and we might be due for it. We might be due for that mentality to say, hey, we're going to lock you up with those corners and play man, and we're going to run with anybody, go vertical, and we're going to send the house at you. I think this game could be one of those games where we take that approach, Gary.
Sometimes that is what's necessary because when it comes down to it, my athlete's better than your athlete. And instead of complicating things on defense or offense and running a whole lot of plays, I just was talking to a friend of mine this week, and we laughed at how, and sure, it's when youth league we play a lot younger. We literally had 8 plays total.
Right.
And I believe 2 defenses. Right. And guess what? We ran the table 4 years in a row.
Right.
Because we know what we're doing. We know how we do what we do.
Right.
And so that's the thing that I think it speaks to here. I don't know that our offense is too complicated or we're doing anything fancy. It seems like they have simplified it some. Right. I do think the challenge is in the skilled players. And I do think this week's challenge will be toward the Mountaineer faithful. I agree with Willie and what we talk about having that 12th man, how it feels to have that crowd 100% behind you. I'm going to also, because, as an outsider sometimes, and I don't feel that way anymore because I've been here 22 years, but as someone who maybe didn't grow up in this state, I think that sometimes people might say, well, you didn't grow up here, you don't know what it's like here. I've been here, and I bleed blue and gold just like the rest of the people here, and I've been all over this state. Right. I can tell you this much. Mountaineers like to fight, and maybe that's why sometimes they leave us when we ain't fighting.
Right.
Because when you give up 50 points, that's a key phrase in there. gave up.
Yeah.
I gave up 50 points. You never say they earned 50 points against you, because if they earned it, they didn't get 50.
Right.
Okay, so that's I think is part of the key right there. But we to the fans, we need you around. We need you to stay around. We need you to fight with us, to have our back. It's just you wouldn't leave your brother out there. You wouldn't leave your friend out there. Right. You know, you go out there and you see it to the end and jump in if you got to.
right. And guys, again, I'll make it the trifecta and talk about students' participation. When we're sitting over there, guys, this is how it looks to us fans. When we're sitting over there and our guys out in the field and we're sitting here and we know we're behind, and you got that helmet sitting there and you got the coach here, where do your eyes wander off to, Gary?
Oh, first thing you want to see the fans.
Exactly. That's the first place your eyes go to. The coach is sitting here talking. You know you got to get ready to go out here, and then your eyes pop up just like this, and you look and you see what you got up there, right? So again, I'm pointing it out to the fans. We as former players and players who know this game, we need you to stick around and stick with us and fight to the end. And as Gary just said, if you got to jump in, if we don't win, we all jump
That's
in.
It.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Right, you know, like he was saying, if we fight, they'll fight.
Right.
So they want to see a fight, yeah. So
now I want to get this out of the way. Do you see, or do you think we go, like I said, cover zero, and say, hey, not worry about what we do on offense. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to lock them up and say beat us.
I think this is a great time to do it again. They have big physical receivers, but I don't think there's anybody that's going to stretch us vertically down the field.
Right.
So at that, when you're playing zero technique, you know, if you
Explain
get
to them what it is, Will.
Zero technique, you're playing man all over the field. If they got 4 receivers, we got 4 defensive backs, and we're playing man all over the field, no help, and we're sending 8. So we want to get that quarterback uncomfortable.
Right.
But it goes back to this again, JT. They got a linebacker who is also their quarterback. That's how physical they are. This guy's a quarterback also. He's a two-way player. Yeah. Kid's about 240, number 7, plays offense. He's the quarterback, and they run the.
He start? He plays.
Well, I tell you what, he plays a lot. Plays a lot of plays, and they run the what do you call that when they direct snap?
What do you call that stuff?
I didn't use
the Wildcat.
He runs the Wildcat. So, you know, when he gets the ball in his hand, he trust him. He doesn't try to do this.
He's going right at you.
He's going to come right at you. So, yeah. So
we didn't have them Wildcats.
No. We had the Penn State.
We had a fullback.
Yeah. There wasn't
and a tight end.
Inside drill.
Had the Penn State. They pulled a backside guard, front side tackle, D with the fullback, and then student body left, student body right.
There
but
you go.
That's old school football.
But yes, let's keep on going, guys. Again, Iowa State, we know you're coming. But the Mountaineers, we're going to be ready. We got to be ready. I mean, that's the Mountaineer spirit. I mean, hey, we're going to keep fighting. And I guarantee you, I'm telling you, I know Gibby. I've been watching for many years. He's a gambler. He's the type of guy that said, well, if we're going to go out, we're going to go out like this. We're going to lock you up and make you play football. And I know old Hogerson over there, he going to want to throw the ball around. I got a feeling that he's going to want to throw the ball around. Yeah. You know? But I resist that, and run a little bit.
Thank you. I was going to say, run the football. Yeah.
All right, I got a trivia question for you guys again. All you had to do was listen to what I said. Be the first one to raise your hand, and I'll be giving you in a way this spinner.
Fidget
spinner. But to win, you got to be down here at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill every Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to thedominionpost.com and you can catch us there. Now, this is a really easy question. All I need to know from you all, how many touchdowns did Gary Seals score? Seals. All you have to do is raise your hand. Be the first person to raise your hand. How many touchdowns? 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, or maybe no touchdowns. How many touchdowns did Gary Seals score this past game?
David
Seals. Okay. David Seals. Let's say Gary.
You keep
trying to
Gary over
Jennings.
here.
I was talking about
Gary
Jennings.
Seals. I saw him at the game.
Okay.
He didn't score any.
There you go. He did not score any touchdowns. What I said he scored an extra point, 2-point conversion. So I threw that out there for you. Again, guys, to win, you got to be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go check us out at thedominionpost.com. How much time I got, guys? Because we're how much? Good deal, good deal. Well, we can keep on talking. And I like these kind of type of conversations because this is how we really talk. And them old offensive guys, they ain't show up on me tonight. The offensive guys didn't show up on me tonight.
So you got all defensive guys.
And we weren't going to give you a hard time. But I would tell them, listen, get us off the field.
Right.
I mean, I have to. If they were here right now, Gary, I'm saying, get me off the field.
Do something to help the defense out. And again, I do believe it's there. It's funny how a graduation or a transfer affects an entire team. We talk about some off-season transitions that happened where we lost some receivers. Then, of course, you have some offensive linemen graduate. A year or two ago, we were thinking in some cases, in some games, the offensive line was the strong point of the team.
Yes.
And now they're not doing as well. Again, I hate to criticize, but they're not at the level where they need to be right now. And because of that, a really good running back in Crawford we aren't able to see exactly what he can do. Right. Then, of course, we have McCoy, who I think is, I hate to say it, but I really think that he might even be the better running back long term. He's more straight ahead guy. I mean, not right at this moment, but his career could potentially be better. And then we've got somebody hanging in the balance, just lost a red shirt at the end of last year, and every time he touch it, he's doing something good with it. So we have to be able to do that. And again, I really want to challenge our skill position players, especially our wide receivers, because I like the year that Seals is having, but at this point in time, if your best receiver is a guy who's still learning the position, then that means these other guys got to step up. Okay? He has a slight advantage, or at least a different wrinkle, is the fact that he played quarterback and he may understand the defenses or where to be a little bit better than some of these other guys, or how to break a zone, or how to break down, or what that guy that's throwing him the ball is thinking he should be and how to get there. But he's also shown excellent ball skills. He's coming down with the ball.
Right.
Something, and he's not had a lot of drops. And I can't really think of any significant drops. Wherein the guys who have been doing this and have been playing at this position for a while, they're the ones letting us down and dropping the football.
Right. Good point. Let me ask you this, because I didn't bring this up, and it's almost a shame. In fact, although I'm not a journalist, but if you were a journalist, if I didn't bring up Greer, is there any? Does he has any responsibility in this loss, Will?
Well, when you have a loss, you don't want to start placing blame, because then you just the finger pointing started, and then you have doubt, and you don't want to, have any issues in the locker room. But throwing 4 interceptions, I can see if the balls were tipped. The couple that I saw, they were overthrown pretty bad. I don't know if it's because of the weather, anything else. The other kid on the other side of the ball, he throwing the ball pretty good. So you don't want to, like I said, start pointing into a certain player or a certain position or defense or offense, because ultimately it's a team sport.
True.
With that being said, we can't have 4 turnovers like that, especially on the field where they happen.
Right.
Giving a team a short field. Going back to Iowa State, they're a confident team right now.
Right.
Like, we're tied for the Big 12 right now, and that's probably the first time that they've ever been in contention, for a Big 12, outright championship. So we just have to cut down on the mistakes, be physical, and just do what we've normally done in the past few games. Right. Take care of the ball, get it to our playmakers, run the ball, and back to defense again, because we're all defensive players. And I'm glad you guys brought that up. I forgot we had done that against Baylor.
Right.
Go 0.
Right.
And let the chips fall where they may.
Right. One more thing about the Will Greer situation, because again, I feel like I got to touch on that. So, Gary, you remember this. We played Maryland, up at Maryland. Right? We were laying it to them. We had 3 or 4 interceptions.
Right.
And the same thing happened, Will. Chad Johnston, as soon as we get the ball, he threw it right back,
Right.
But at the end of that game, I have to say this. Chad came up to, because I got an interception that game. He said, JT, that'll never happen again. He threw 4 or 5 interceptions that game, and I appreciate him being accountable for those 4 or 5 interceptions that he threw that particular game. What do you say? And I'll leave it after that about Will Greer and his ability to be accountable for what transpired on Saturday.
You know, I would hope that he's accountable for his play. I'm not going to put him down because I really believe that for what we had last year, I love Skylar Howard's heart, man. I like the intensity that he played with, but he did have some inconsistencies. And this year, I think Will Greer has been really consistent. He didn't have his best game last week. He really didn't have a good game last week. He let us down in some areas. But I do like the fact that I never saw him get frustrated. I like the fact that I saw him keep trying. And from an offensive standpoint and looking at body language and players, they still appear to trust him. And so I'm really just hoping that he is able to be accountable. I would imagine a man who's already married, who's living the family life, who has a child, that he has no problem accepting responsibility. That's just my guess. I don't know him. I don't know for sure what he's doing. But since he's made those moves in his life, and he's a little bit further along than most people are at this time in their life, then I would imagine that he would accept that responsibility. Hopefully he has had some conversation, whether it's with his quarterback coach, the head coach, the entire team, or the defense, to say, you know what, it's on me, I'm going to play better. Not this game's on me, but last week's performance wasn't my best performance. I'm going to be a better player for it.
And I figured I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't bring it up. But again, I feel I'm sure he's doing all the right things, and I'm sure those guys will be prepared to pop back out. You got anything, Will, before I give it to the audience to ask questions?
No, you can go and give it to him.
All righty, guys. If you, I'm going to say this, I say it every week. Don't wait till we get up and ask us these questions.
While we're trying to walk out the
Listen,
door.
if you got a question, raise your hand. We'll get the mic over there to you, and now we'll answer it to the best of our ability. And it's always nice seeing that you all come out and enjoy your meal.
All right, so the Iowa State former quarterback, Lanning, is leading the defense in tackling. Former quarterback. So I was thinking, you guys are all defensive guys. You probably don't like the quarterback coming in and leading the team in tackles. But other than Major Harris, which quarterback did you guys play with that could have went to defense and made an impact?
None of them.
Wait a minute now. I think Major could have been a corner. He's pretty athletic. Major, he was pretty athletic. He could have been maybe a strong safety, maybe a corner. I don't know about his physicality.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm way ahead of all you guys.
I don't remember nobody that could play quarterback.
Bolger.
No.
Chad wasn't going to play quarterback.
None of our
Boykin
guys.
wasn't going to play quarterback. Not Boykin.
Defense, yeah.
not Bolger, not Sider. You know, no, those guys. I don't mind that a quarterback comes in and plays and he's doing what he needs to do on defense. The truth of the matter is I think a lot of that is in the heart. And so I think you have some guys that either grew up tough or was beat up by older brothers or grew up in a tough neighborhood and they got, pushed around a bit and they learned how to defend themselves. And I think that's really what football is all about. You taking a position on that field and saying, this is my ground, this is where I stand, and you don't get any more than this right here. And so I think a quarterback with the right attitude, with the right demeanor and the right heart can be a valuable defensive player. Any of our players can be with the right skills, but it's just not very typical of quarterbacks.
Right. Well, I think a team feeds off of that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, look, that's my quarterback, but look at him on defense.
Right.
Your quarterback can't do that.
Right.
So now you're bragging, that's my boy, and we got his back. So our quarterback's tougher than your quarterback. Right. So again,
I'm proud to say that I was a quarterback that switched to linebacker.
True. That's right.
I went to college as a quarterback, and I got hurt, and I decided to play defense. So I got tired of getting hit. First of all, when I got a chance to hit somebody on defense, I figured I might well go ahead and lay them out like they used to try to lay me out. And I got lucky enough where I ended up getting good at it. So I know what that's like. I done threw a whole bunch of touchdowns. There will be some guys who will be in the Hall of Fame because I threw them the pass. And at the same time, I probably hit a few of them at the same time as a defensive player. Thank you for that question. Do we got any more questions? Yeah,
Trick question.
No, not trick questions. Watch what she does. She does it to us every week.
You ready for trivia?
I'm ready for trivia. She's going to throw it back at us, guys.
Can you tell me which 2 years that the Mountaineers completed 11-0 perfect regular seasons?
Yes.
That's too easy.
We
Okay,
got
that's
that.
way easy. I'll take the first one. 'Cause that was my senior year. 1988.
1988.
I'll let these guys take the other one.
1993.
I was trying to make it easier on you this week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do we got anything else? How much time we got? Any? 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
One more question.
Give me a question. What you got? Okay. Again, we know how this works. Go ahead.
What do you think the outcome of the game is going to be?
This upcoming week. So, that's a good question. You know, we used to try to stay away from that predictions.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, the bookies will say we'll win by 3 because they give us a home field advantage. Right. So, you know, I'll go with that and say we can win by 3 because we're playing home field. But it's going to be a tough one for the Mountaineers, Will.
Well, I'll say this. I can't tell you, I predict what the score is going to be. As long as we win by 1, I'm okay with it.
I still got Mountaineers in the victory. I'm like, well, I can't predict the score. You know, especially because some things have been a little bit consistent. I do believe that we have the ability to win this game, especially with the crowd behind us, and especially that even though we have a team that's really consistent and that gels well together, I think that we have some mismatches, or they're not as talented as on the skill position. They play well, not taking anything from them, but I don't think that they have a blazing fast receiver or no superstars. And so I think that they have to do a lot to beat us as well, where all we need is maybe 1 or 2 big plays, and that may be the difference in the ball game.
I agree. You got anything else? All right. That'll be it. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you all for coming out. We'll be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And if you don't catch us here, make sure you go check us out at thedominionpost.com. And until next time, huddle up.